Brand new chapter of One Piece. Let's get it. We have not one, but 2 new devil fruits introduced in this chapter. As war unfolds in Elbaf, this chapter is filled with pure conflict. And not only conflict, but we may or may not be getting into some conflict resolution. We start this chapter with Saul, and I'm not gonna lie, I do not feel bad for what happens to Saul in this chapter. Hear me out. Last chapter, the gym teacher told Saul, do not touch the kids. This chapter, Robin tells Saul, be careful. Remember, the teacher warned us not to touch them. Even Chopper. Oh yeah, wasn't he covered in blood? So Saul's big brain move is to go touch one of the kids. And guess what happens? He gets stabbed by invisible thorns that are surrounding the kid's body. He's like, it hurts. I hope so, Saul. I hope it did hurt. Cutting away from that, we see everyone in the village of Elbaf being informed of what the current situation is. And most of them are freaking out, which is understandable. They're hearing that all the kids at the school are unconscious. 9 of them are sleepwalking away. And on top of that, in the distance, they can see one of the branches of Elbaf on fire. So it's just pure chaos. Even Nami and Jinbei, they're like, what's going on? The moment they touch down on Elbaf, there's been so much going on. And for the most part, the Straw Hats really haven't had that much of an influence on the chaos going on. Outside of Luffy, I'm not gonna lie, he's gonna have to take 50 to 90% of that blame for Elbaf being on fire right now. Because for better or for worse, he did choose to uncuff Loki, which allowed him to start that fire. And with everyone in the village being way too drunk from partying for who knows how long, there's not much they can do about it. So they send out the firefighters of Elbaf to do something about it. Elbaf's one weakness is lightning and fire. So it's a big brain move for them to have a dedicated firefighting service to dispel the fire. And that hype dies immediately when they get slapped away by a giant skeleton. Everyone's like, what? Including me. Because I'm like, there is no way that was your only plan for getting rid of this fire, to have 3 or 4 giants come in and cut off the branch. It's a good plan, but you have to have a backup. Why can't Dory and Bragi just Hikaku sovereignty, whatever it's called, and cut down one of the branches themselves? That's what I'm confused about. I feel like most giants here should be able to cut a branch that big. Do y'all think I'm crazy for thinking that? Speaking of crazy, we cut to the people causing most of the chaos in Elbaf. St. Summers is laughing at all the giants being hurt by the thorns and going on and on about love. Gunko pretty much ignores them. Sort of seems like there are levels to evilness within the God Knights. Because for one, you have St. Summers who's laughing and finds it funny that the families are being separated and these kids are potentially being taken away from their families and potentially even hurt. Gunko, who we have seen as antagonistic, rude, and uppity, she doesn't really acknowledge him when he goes on these tangents of laughing at the cruelty and all the hurt and pain that he's causing everyone else. And then you have Killingham, who for the most part has just been doing his job. He doesn't even really care to acknowledge the cruelty that Summers finds hilarious. While St. Summers is talking, we get an idea of what his fruit is. He has the Thorn-Thorn Fruit. And from how he described it, it seems like the thorns do more damage the more you love that person. Which to me is one of the cruelest devil fruit abilities we have seen in One Piece, at least in the top 5. And I'm sure there's even more stuff that he can do, which I do plan on talking about. When Summer finishes his yap session, St. Killingham tells him that he needs more salt. Summers begins to think about salt, and Killingham puts him to sleep. And he proceeds to grab the salt out of St. Summers' dream and pulls it into reality. And we come to find out that he has the mythical dragon fruit modeled Kieran, which makes him a dream materializing man. From what I can tell, he has the power to reach into your dreams and make them a reality. And of course, there seems to be a little bit of drawback to this because referring to the food that they're eating, the food has no calories because it's just food from a dream. It can't actually give any nutrients, which makes sense for a fallback. But for someone like Killingham who can just make a whole entire army out of somebody's dreams, the amount he can do with his power is insane. You would think by this time, all the God Knights would have awakened devil fruits. Considering someone like Luffy and Law and Kid already awaken their devil fruits. By definition, the ability of an awakened devil fruit allows you to affect things outside of yourself. And so far, Gunko, St. Summers, St. Killingham, they've all shown that they have the ability to affect things outside of themselves by showing what they're doing with these kids. I'm really interested to see what more they can do with their powers, considering that they haven't even started fighting yet. Besides Summers being an actual psychopath, it's pretty cool to see antagonists like this having conversation that fleshes them out. We see Gunko actually like the food that's being made and make a cute little face when she's talking about utilizing the rainbow painters for their plan. Summers is complaining that the game that they're playing is getting way too easy. So Gunko lets him know that she saw Straw Hat's ship anchored by the village. So she knows the Emperor Straw Hat Luffy is in Elbaf. I think that's a wild statement, because to know that an Emperor is on the island that you're currently attacking, and you sort of like, not necessarily brush it off, but you don't treat it as that big of a threat, says a lot. She was more afraid of Nika and talking about Nika than she was afraid of talking about an emperor being on Elbaf. It seems like she hasn't made the connection between Luffy and Nika yet, which makes things interesting for when Luffy actually shows up to confront them. I wonder what her reaction will be, because from what we can tell, the Gorosei themselves have done everything in their power to make sure people don't know that Nika is correlated to Luffy. So maybe the God Knights, they don't even know the correlation, because maybe that would cause them to panic or make brash decisions. I feel like when Luffy shows up, we'll truly be able to see the God Knights for who they truly are. When they see that Luffy could potentially be Nika, I wonder how someone like Summers, who doesn't care if a bunch of giant kids walk to their deaths, I wonder how he's gonna react to that. I wonder what he looks like when he's not playing a game. If you're liking the video so far, remember to like and subscribe. It helps a lot. I'm a small channel and I appreciate the support. Boom, we cut back to the underworld to see what Loki's been up to. And let me tell you something, he's standing his ground right now. I don't think y'all understand that Loki has been chained up to a tree, getting hit by a bunch of top tiers in the verse. Not a lot of people can say they survived attacks from 2 God Knights, a Yonko, and a Yonko's first commander. And he hasn't even used his potentially overpowered devil fruit yet. That's why when Loki talks, I listen, because he's that dude. Everyone is surrounding Loki, and he is letting them know that he is willing to destroy everyone and everything, so they should surrender. At first, when Loki said nobody could lift his hammer, I had this idea that it was going to be like Thor, where maybe he had to be worthy to lift the hammer. But now that I'm looking at the hammer, no, he's saying that you probably wouldn't be able to physically lift his hammer. His hammer is probably the size of 3 regular giants. No one but Loki would be able to physically lift that hammer in the first place. I'm interested to learn more about this hammer, because Loki was not always this big. So that hammer has to have been either someone else's hammer or someone made that for Loki when he became an adult. As Loki continues to threaten everyone, Gerd comes up and is like, "Stop! Loki, think about the children." Then you see Zoro in the background just straight up instigating, talking about, "Luffy, are you gonna let him get off that easy?" And I'm like, Zoro, chill. Zoro, chill. Zoro, chill. At this point, I'm gonna have to make an Elbaf bloodlust tier list, because between Saint Summers laughing about ripping families apart and kidnapping children, Loki grinning ear to ear when he's talking about destroying Elbaf and all its people, and then Zoro constantly trying to get anyone who Luffy looks at to get killed. At this point, it seems like these 3 want nothing more than to see everyone around them burn. But yeah, Luffy ends up knocking down Loki, and for the first time ever since Hirunden has joined the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, Luffy actually requests him to do something, which I think is a big deal. Because remember, the Straw Hat Fleet is supposed to play a huge role at some point in the story. So Luffy beginning to actually lead these people who want to follow him is a major deal for the story as a whole. Luffy ends up asking Hirunden to save Loki's life. So Gerd begins to take care of Loki, and she tells everyone that it will take several months for him to fully recover. And I don't know if this is going to be a situation like Impel Down, where due to Loki's willpower, he's going to defy all odds and recover way faster than he should. Or is Loki actually going to be out for the rest of the arc? I can't imagine Loki in Elbaf actually being incapable of moving throughout the whole entire thing. I'm thinking that when Loki is fully unchanged, his devil fruit will allow him to recover, because we still don't know what his devil fruit is. All we know is that it is a powerful devil fruit. So he could very well be back in the story in a couple weeks. And for the first time ever, we get to see Loki's horns in the flesh. And I'm not gonna lie, this panel with Luffy sitting on Loki's horn is probably my favorite panel of this chapter. Because I don't know why, but I feel like it signifies a lot. I have a feeling that either Luffy, Nika, Joy Boy, or whoever has a deep connection with the ancient giants. And as they're talking about the horns, we go into a flashback of King Harold talking to both Loki and Hirunden, wishing that they would just get along and support Elbaf together. And Tiny Loki begins to belittle his big brother Hirunden, saying, "How can I call such a weak runt my brother? You're just a bastard. You'll never be Dad's true heir." And having your little brother talk down to not only you, but also your mom, I can fully see why Hirunden is hesitant to even consider Loki or even believe Loki in the first place, because it doesn't look like Loki ever gave him a reason to. Now, what I don't agree with is Hirunden trying to kill Loki while he's laying on his back recovering. That, to me, even if you have a problem with Loki, I feel like it's very weak as a giant to go for a killing blow on your opponent while he's not actively in combat. That's just weak. And most likely we're either going to get more backstory next chapter or even in the coming weeks. But I'm hoping Hirunden gets fleshed out more, because as of right now, I'm going to be honest, I do not like him like that. To me, he's just been weak. Ever since we were first introduced to him, he's just been a weakling to me. For someone who wants to be the king of the giants, I need him to show me something that's worthy of him being the king of the giants. I need him to show me something that's worthy of him having a crew of people willing to follow him. So I'm actually looking forward to this backstory whenever we get the full length of it. And Loki ends this chapter asking Hirunden, "Do you really believe that I killed father?" I've been on Loki's side because Luffy has been on Loki's side. And Luffy has the best judge of character than anybody else in the whole show. I really do appreciate y'all for watching this video this far. Thank you.